Thank you for joining another episode of the Finance Magnates blockchain podcast. Today's um, today's guest is joining us from Australia, Sam Lee, the CEO of Blockchain Global. Sam, please introduce yourself a bit to our audience.
Sure. Thanks, Avi. Thanks for having me. So, Blockchain Global has been going on since 2014. We originally started our company in 2013 as an arbitrage fund and have slowly evolved into being involved in a number as management consulting and consulting to listed and unlisted corporates. In addition to that, Bitcoin mining, as well as operating exchanges such as ACX, which is Australia's largest Bitcoin exchange, having daily volumes of around 4 to 5 million. In addition to that, we now position us as primarily as an investment company in the blockchain space, having recently invested in Digital X, which is an ASX listed company. You can check them out. Their ticker on the ASX is DCC. So that was a $4.35 million transaction in Australian dollars that was made to acquire, in addition to vending in some opportunities, 40% of their company. We also look forward to other opportunities to collaborate as we have now got offices in New York and Shanghai, in addition to our headquarters in Melbourne.
Very interesting. So regarding the ASX and in general, I wanted to know what's the authorities or the established financial companies' view of blockchain and blockchain startup right now?
Well, it depends on what the blockchain startup's looking to do. We have relatively early on focused our emphasis on educating all levels of society on what blockchain is and how the ecosystem may look in a post-blockchain enabled world. So that started with the formation of ADCA, which is Australian Digital Commerce Association, targeted towards educating policymakers and members of government on what blockchain can contribute to society. We also run programs such as establishing blockchaincan.com, which is a website that lists a number of use cases in certain and different varying industries, as well as primary school, secondary school, and university education programs. Most recently, at Consensus 2017, we brought to the blockchain industry our crypto poetry kids book, which is 36 pages of colorful one sentence Dr. Seuss-like rhyme books, which is there to educate my kids on obviously cryptocurrency. So there's a lot of interest and awareness that we generate through the establishment of the Melbourne Blockchain Centre, which was started in 2014, and now we have blockchain centres popping up in Shanghai, KL in partnership with the NEM Foundation, and also Chicago as well. So to drive policy through education is a key aspect to our success and also as an investment company, a key driver to capturing investment deal flow.
I see. Can you give us off the top of your head, one sentence from the book? I'm just interested, like, what does it cover for kids?
Oh, well, it's essentially a primer to what blockchain is and also goes through each of the key competitive advantages of each of the major cryptocurrencies out there. So, it might seem deep topic for intellectuals to understand blockchain, but no, it's one sentence per page, and it really covers off what the opportunity that blockchain is about. I'll have to hit you up, Avi, for another interview specifically on the book, because we're very passionate about our kids' programs, as we have frequented many primary schools with this book to push education, to children.
Yeah, definitely. No, it sounds very interesting, and also hard, because honestly, a lot of people obviously ask me about blockchain and explaining the technology, and I most often I feel like they didn't understand what I'm saying. So if you can find an easy way to explain it to school children, that's a hard act to follow.
Not a problem.
Okay, so in general, do you still operate Bitcoin mining?
So yes, we do. We are the management company for 3 different facilities throughout China. Accessing cheap electricity is a key competitive advantage, and that is why China is such a hotbed for opportunities. So predominantly in securing blockchains through the process of mining and optimizing efficiencies, and through that we predominantly consume sustainable electricity from hydroelectric dams.
I see. That's very interesting. So, do you think that's necessary in order to run an exchange? Do you think you need to have your own supply, your own mining operation in order to successfully answer the demand in an exchange?
I think as an MB, we offer opportunities in this space in all segments. So for people who are interested in getting exposure in the form of operating a Bitcoin mine, or wanting a share of the hash rate output by purchasing equipment from us, we're just a management company in order to facilitate that transaction. Because we have a strong track record since 2014 of operating, in a very transparent and stable fashion, it just means that our investors have come back to us for more in different ways, and sometimes it's beyond mining as well, because as you know, the ecosystem has grown significantly, and the opportunities to capitalize on that allows you to, I guess, print wealth has grown significantly, and that's the reason why the partnership with the NEM exchange is so exciting, because we see this as the first foundation-driven exchange platform, which means a foundation has put into their business model to, I guess, take into control the growth of their audience and liquidity, and we're here to supply the technology in order to furnish that.
Yeah, I was planning to ask about that. If you can elaborate, how did that cooperation came about?
So, where we see the NEM Foundation benefiting on creating a specifically NEM exchange is they're able to create underlying liquidity for all the top quality mosaics. That is essentially the NEM equivalent to ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum network, and having liquidity of these mosaics on their own platform. In addition to that, the NEM Foundation, in operating this exchange, will be able to clip a trade fee on their own exchange platform, and that will drive revenue into the NEM Foundation. After all, if you look at the traditional foundation structure, how does a foundation actually make money to sustain the ongoing developments of their cryptocurrency? So they can't just rely on donations and the goodwill of others to work for free, and they'll eventually run out of their own native tokens within their war chest. So operating a foundation-powered exchange is a really clever move to ensure that NEM, in the long run, has ongoing revenue in order to power all the activities that they are required to make NEM a global and self-sustaining blockchain player.
And would the exchange be strictly NEM to fiat, or will it be NEM to other cryptos as well?
So the exchange platform will have cryptos only, but that doesn't mean fiat-backed cryptos won't be involved. So we'll be working with NEM to release, mosaics on the NEM platform that represent and are backed by a cryptocurrency, traditional fiat currencies that is stored with a custodian. And that will act as a method for individuals to onboard into the NEM ecosystem with fiat currency.
I see. And you've mentioned the ERC20 tokens, and is there a plan to create a let's say an ICO ecosystem, the way that has been developed around Ethereum in recent months?
Well, the partnership with NEM is to create an exchange, but in addition to that, our most recent acquisition of DigitalX, investment in DigitalX, will represent an opportunity for further partnership and collaboration in the ICO space. I can't disclose more than that, but it is really exciting times as we forge forward to consolidate opportunities in this industry through rolling out blockchain centers and knowledge hubs in every major city around the world.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about these blockchain centers? Why did you choose the current locations, and what services do they provide?
So think of a blockchain center as a knowledge hub that educates and creates awareness of the technology stack. It allows people with a common interest of this technology to come together and learn about the opportunities that they could derive from this revolutionary technology that can democratize trust. The opportunities can only be executed with great talent, and in an industry that enables people to issue tokens of value, money is never really a road or a blocker to creating, great businesses in the space. So a blockchain center provides a deal flow in the form of talent coming in and wanting to be a part of the ecosystem. And we'd like to think that our IP and know-how is valuable enough for them to look at partnering with us, to grow their blockchain startups beyond just their local ecosystem.
I see. So it's basically an incubator and a meeting space for developing local ecosystems in different parts of the world in order to connect them to a global network, if I understand
That's
correctly.
right. And yes, that's right. And our company do have our own corporate accelerator program in order to onboard great talent which are looking to produce blockchain-enabled startups.
I see. And specifically, if we're focusing on East Asia and Southeast Asia, how do you see the ecosystem developing there, both for cryptocurrency and for blockchain technologies?
So I believe cryptocurrencies ultimately will benefit countries that lack infrastructure in uh, um, uh, due to the lack of, I guess, interest from traditional markets to enter those ecosystems. And from my point of view, Asia is a leading fintech hub just because of the regulation around, you know, financial industries is relatively light. And this is in comparison to the US. So, on that note, we see the readiness to adopt blockchain being greater in Asia, and that is why it is a key market for us to roll out use case apps with key industry leaders. However, the US market is also very important to us because we feel that as a global economic powerhouse, we could save significantly the incumbents a lot of money by replacing their outdated legacy infrastructure with you know, a blockchain enabled system. So we have the dev capabilities to build out solutions, and we use whatever stack is most appropriate. So having access to you know, developers that are blockchain agnostic allows us to quickly prove a concept and further build out the best and most suitable solution for any company.
I see. And do you see that there's a divergence between, let's say, the US that you mentioned, where we see people trying more to focus, at least companies, on trying to focus on blockchain as a technology without cryptocurrencies, and Asia, when there's a appreciation both of the technology and the currencies?
I feel ultimately we are looking to create an ecosystem where there's multiple blockchains that drive transparency to the global information ecosystem. So our job is to remain blockchain agnostic and focus at this early stage on education and awareness and capture deal flow as an outcome from the opportunities that may arise in these blockchain centers around the world. So we're always keen to partner up with other you know, leading organizations around the world to create these knowledge hubs, and the Melbourne-based knowledge hub is you know, the world first and a working example that has been created in conjunction with IBM back in 2014.
Interesting. And well, of course, the big news right now is the fork of the Bitcoin blockchain into BTC and BCC, Bitcoin Cash. Since you both operate a an exchange, and you're also in the mining business, I think our audience would be very interested to hear your opinion on the matter, and will you support Bitcoin Cash as a tradable instrument?
So ultimately, as a business, it's our job to give what customers want. So if that means we'll support Bitcoin Cash because there is market demand for it, then that's what we'll do. Our role in the ecosystem as Blockchain Global is to remain agnostic to all of the opportunities out there and help foster innovation by allowing anyone and everybody to come into the space.
I see. And how do you gauge market demand for a new coin or a BCC? How do you see it developing, or what techniques do you use to determine if there is demand or there isn't demand?
Well, for example, I've been briefed in just an hour ago by a community manager at the Blockchain Center saying that there has been an influx of individuals that have come to the Blockchain Center to ask about Bitcoin Cash and also wanting to buy Bitcoin Cash. So, from my point of view, there is a influx of new users that are attracted to this new proposition, and therefore this may lead to further support by the overall ecosystem, which includes commercial operators such as ourselves.
I see. That's very interesting development here.
Yeah, and also very exciting. We've seen it happen with Ethereum 1 and Ethereum Classic before, and we're now seeing it with Bitcoin. I believe that this is all for the ecosystem, because ultimately all Bitcoin holders have benefited out of the split, because the overall market cap post split is now even greater than before. So it's great the market has matured, and when the split happened with Ethereum, everybody was crying foul. But now, as this is the second major split, we could see that this is just normality in the ecosystem. Everybody, accept to being a part of the status quo moving forward.
I see. Well, okay. That sounds like a positive attitude to have, definitely.
Yes, especially in a nascent industry like this, any news is good news, because any new development brings more awareness and attention from traditional markets into this new space.
Definitely. Okay, so I see we've already passed the 20 minutes mark. What else do you think that our audience need to know about Blockchain Global and about the current ecosystem that you think we should bring up?
So we want to grow the ecosystem, and the best way to grow that is providing access to education and more access to being crypto sphere. And the best way to do that is through blockchain centers, which are physical knowledge hubs. And in addition to that, exchanges. So we offer a playbook that explains how industry leaders can work with us to create blockchain centers. But in addition to that, we also offer white label exchange solutions so that people can deploy an exchange similar to ACX.io onto the market, so that they're able to give liquidity to the market that they're in. I see there being half of the world's that don't even have access to cryptocurrencies because they don't have a blockchain asset exchange. We would like to leverage our know-how and IP to assist in quickly establishing these, and we have a 6-week deployment structure that allows, once the term sheet is signed, the platform to be deployed in 6 weeks. And that's what the NEM Foundation has sorted out and saw was a key advantage in our partnership. And that's how the discussions and finally the signing ceremony last week has come out of with the NEM Foundation, because they saw us as a industry leader that is quick to act to an opportunity that will significantly benefit them as well.
I see. That's actually very interesting. So how would I guess it's meant for new entrepreneurs or for people that are already established who would want a white label exchange?
So from my point of view, anyone and everyone could get started. The structure of the pricing structure with only 20,000 US dollars. We ultimately have, I guess, a mandate to create as many of these exchanges as possible, because that helps distribute and decentralize the systemic risk that current exchanges hold. The new entrepreneurs in the space can also seek funding through our network of investors, and of course our accelerator program as well. And so building out this ecosystem really allows us to bring talent together with really drives global growth and adoption in cryptocurrencies as well as blockchain technology.
I see that's a very interesting prospect. Is you're bringing both the technology and the funding, to help set up new exchanges.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So when can I sign you up?
Yeah, well, I'm following the regulations right here in Israel and trying to figure out what's gonna happen. But yeah, it's definitely a needed proposition right now. I think if somebody can marry, I was speaking yesterday with a friend, with a colleague. I said if somebody can marry the exchanges with good customer support, because at this moment, obviously I'm not in Australia. I don't know. I didn't use your exchange, but the ones that I've used, mainly in US based, it's very hard to get customer support. That's the main issue that I'm seeing right now in the market. So yeah, definitely if somebody can they think they have the capabilities to bring great customer support, there's definitely more room for more exchanges.
Yeah, definitely. And as this ecosystem becomes more friendly to the public markets, it will, I think, attract a lot more adoption and capital influx as well. So it's all about being able to provide the technology stack in order to enable growth of this ecosystem. And I believe exchanges play a key role in that section between traditional capital and crypto capital. So we look forward to further partnerships with not only entrepreneurs who are looking to establish exchanges, but also partnerships with these existing exchanges in order to continue to grow the global liquidity pool through our arbitrage engine.
I see. And just a quick follow-up. So with a white label solution offer AML and KYC and all the CRMs, like all the capabilities that you need in order to both run the business and follow regulations with regard to accepting funds.
So the way we work is the entrepreneur needs to satisfy their own local jurisdictional rules and regulation. We're just a technology provider at the end of the day, and therefore it's important that the entrepreneur is well resourced with a clear business plan in mind on how to execute and resolve the concerns of their local regulators. From our point of view, there is a significant IP and know-how around communications with Australia that we could share with these entrepreneurs. And a recent win is for the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, which is Australia's version of SEC, saying that they treat Bitcoin and therefore they see ICOs as something that they will not look to regulate. We, as an industry, self-regulate everything in Australia anyways, and therefore the government has taken a relatively hands-off and light touch approach. And we feel that this is the best way to move this industry forward and to strike a balance, the balance between innovation, growth ecosystem, in addition to looking after the market from a regulator's point of view.
Definitely, that's a good attitude by the regulator. I would say it's the opposite of what's the regulator here in Israel are planning. So,
So maybe the regulators in Israel need to experience a tour of a blockchain trail that we will work with Financial Magnate to set up.
I'd love to do that one day. Okay,
Great.
so I want to thank you again, Sam, for joining us, and I want to thank our audience for listening. Please share, like, and subscribe so you can keep following us for more interesting interviews. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Avi. Talk soon.
Talk soon.